In this video, we're going to go over an advanced dropshipping marketing ecosystem that's used by me to launch and scale new brands through the means of interruption marketing. It's used by clients in their highest level programs, and it's the same unique marketing system that's generated millions of dollars in gross revenue for my team. So whether you're just starting out or you're trying to scale past 100K or scale past 500K, this video is going to give you good insight on how to grow your ecom business in 2024. Everything in this video is completely updated for today's market climate, for today's ad costs, competition levels, etc. Now, really quickly, the reason I'm qualified to teach you this is because I've generated over 11 million in ecom sales with TikTok and Facebook advertising over the past 4 years. Now, let's jump straight into the ecosystem. So the goal here is to hit 1 million in revenue with a single product store and maintain around a 20% profit margin, and ideally only utilizing around $2,000 to $5,000 in startup costs. That's what all these words summarize right here. The more money we can throw at this, the faster it's going to go. Now, to give you a little context, this system will only cover marketing, not product research, not payment processing or web design or anything else. Okay, and there's 3 pillars we're going to follow in order. Pillar number 1 is branding. So essentially just the fundamentals of how we're going to structure out branding from a marketing perspective. Pillar number 2 is the launch and testing phase in the process. And this is when we're going to go from 0 to 100K, and it'll include every system necessary to hit that point. And then lastly, pillar number 3 is scaling. These are the processes needed to go from 100K to 1 million in revenue. Now, let's jump back into pillar number 1, phase number 1 of branding, which is essentially just bringing a new product to market that checks off all of our variables. Now, this is not to say we can't scale a saturated or semi-saturated product. We just ideally want to give ourselves the best conditions for market dominance once we start reaching a higher level in scale. Hence the reason we look for completely untapped products, which I'll get into later. We want to locate the market gap, which basically means finding a product market that has high potential for scale. We want to do proper pre-market research and understand the psychological motivations and triggers behind why people would want to purchase the product that we're looking to sell. And by the way, I go over ecom marketing psychology in extreme detail for interruption marketing inside of my course. I have like 6 or 7 hours worth of content on that. The link is in the description if you want access to that. But anyways, lastly, of course, we want to make sure our product checks off the 4 main variables, which are unsaturated, wow factor for virality, 3 to 10x markup for margin, and then lastly, a broad target audience we can sell to that's sized at least 50 to 100 million people. If we sell a product that doesn't check off these variables, it's only going to hurt us in the future and prevent scale. But once we have a winner, we move into phase 2, brand name genericization. What this means is basically just assimilating your brand's name with the product that you're selling in efforts to drive all traffic back into your website. So for example, the company Band-Aid, they took over the market and now everybody calls an adhesive bandage a Band-Aid, all right? Or Kleenex for tissues, or chapstick for lip balm, etc. This is why we want to bring a brand new product to the market so that when we scale, we can confuse consumers into referring to our brand name as the official product name, allowing us to start a new trend, basically. And as a result, there's going to be hundreds of dropshippers who steal our content, they're going to steal our product name, they're going to steal our images, etc., allowing us to send out automated DMCA takedowns and wipe out our competition. So think about it this way. When we approach dropshipping with proper fundamentals from day 1, we give ourselves a massive competitive advantage later on during scale. But anyways, moving on, we want to give our product and brand a catchy and memorable name that's easy for consumers to remember. And lastly, we want to insert our brand name into literally everything, into the product, into the website, and our content, and our packaging, etc. The brand name needs to be in big, bright letters. This, as a result, is going to drive brand magnetism and pull all the leads back into our website. Lastly, private labeling and packaging. So this one's self-explanatory. When you connect with your agent, ask them to private label and custom package around 10 to 20 samples, because we're going to want to send these samples to a boatload of UGC creators when we start out. But understand that we're not going to be shipping out private labeled products from day one. We need to establish proof of concept first. But later on, once we're pulling in at minimum around 10 orders a day, have your agent start to private label products on a consistent basis with all the orders coming in once you start to reach scale. But that moves us into pillar number 2, the launch and testing phase, which is more than likely going to get us to around 100K in revenue if done properly. And the first phase of launching is going to be organic content. So our goal is to set up a content distribution system with a few partnered UGC creators and start growing our brand organically and optimizing our content before diving directly into paid ads. By doing organic first, we're A, building up a community and establishing trust on our social media accounts. B, we're optimizing our content and getting back data on what types of content performs well, and we're able to see the type of audience that's most interested in the product. And C, we're setting up this system for scale. Think of our organic content system as like the engine to this business. This is going to fuel us with the organic creatives. It's going to fuel us with consistent passive income, and it's going to allow us to consistently be able to optimize our creatives based off of what does and doesn't work. Ideally, here you should have 5 to 10 UGC creators within your system. This is a bit of an over-exaggerated amount, but depending on how much capital you have and how fast you want to grow, these are going to be your frontline soldiers. So investing here is going to be crucial. At minimum, if we want to see any organic growth or sales, we're going to want to be creating 2 to 4 pieces of content per day. This is where most people screw up. And if you can't execute on consistent content, you're going nowhere. We can pay our creators around $50 per video on a long-term partnership, but if you're low on capital, just make the content yourself. There should be no excuse to why this isn't executed. But anyways, next, we want to map out 2 to 4 target audiences we're going to want to target with our content. So for example, women 18 to 24, car enthusiasts, pet owners, etc. Now, variety is key for adaptation. Sam Ovens taught me that a very long time ago. But anyways, lastly, we need around 3 to 7 different UGC content styles, whether that's ASMR videos, for example, or unboxing videos, or product showcases, or relatable content, skits, etc. Just make sure to include variety so that we can analyze what does and doesn't work. Now, all our content needs to follow a very simple framework that's designed for views plus conversions, which consists of a good 3-second hook, a body section that describes the product benefits or how it'll benefit people's lives, not product features, and then lastly, a call to action at the end of every video, or at least included within the description or comment sections of your ads. Once our content styles are dialed in, we're going to systemize this entire process so that we can step away from this and have our content automatically posted within TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and Facebook Stories. So in terms of posting, there's software you can use to automatically post, which I'm not a big fan of due to spam filters and security. So your best solution is going to be either posting yourself every day or hiring a VA to do it. But as a result of all of this, we're going to slowly start seeing rapid organic growth. And a very important thing to note here is that you should not expect a positive ROI within this stage. With the cost of UGC and everything else, I predict you'll be losing money during this initial month, because this is what we usually see. Content takes a while to go viral, but eventually it's going to pay for itself back, considering you have an amazing product and you're pumping out high quality content. But after around a month of posting every day, you'll want to set up very small retargeting campaigns on whichever platforms are showing the most traction. So these retargeting campaigns are going to hit everyone who's engaged with your brand in some sort of way. Maybe they've liked the videos, maybe they've followed you, maybe they've commented, etc. But anyways, on final note of this organic content phase, make sure you're always analyzing and optimizing content. If you see one video perform way better than the rest, just keep replicating that style of video over and over and over again. Now, once around 1 month goes by and we've fully dialed in this system, we've got organic sales pumping in every single day, we've got tons of content being pushed out, and we're pulling in daily profit, we'll want to transition into phase 2, paid advertising. This is where it starts to get juicy. I personally like to focus on TikTok and meta ads. It's just what I know the best. And this is the general media buying framework that I follow when I'm launching new ad campaigns. So in 2024, it's really simple actually. We really don't need to overcomplicate our ad strategies since advertising algorithms are extremely intelligent in today's day and age. All we need to do is focus probably like 80% of our efforts on pushing new creatives, aka taking all the organic creatives and throwing them into the paid ads. On TikTok, Spark ads work amazing with this strategy, but the simple way I run this framework is with 3 campaigns. 1 testing campaign, 1 scaling campaign, and 1 retargeting campaign, which FYI, retargeting really isn't even that important anymore. But first, we're going to test all of our creatives individually in ABO campaigns separate from one another. We're running to the same broad audiences here, okay? At the same time, you should be running split tests to different landing pages based off, how you structured out your website. Most of the time, product page landers will perform the best, but if your product is higher ticket, then you can look into home pages because we've seen those tend to work the best as we need to, nurture the lead more. But we want to run each creative for 1 to 2 weeks at a very low budget so that we can get accurate data back. And we always need to optimize for conversions. So when we find winning creatives that perform 20 to 30% better than one another, we move those creatives into a scaling campaign. On TikTok, this is a CBO campaign. And on Facebook, this is an Advantage Plus campaign. We're going to centralize the data and let the algo do its thing. No need to overcomplicate this in the beginning. We'll want to gradually increase the budget on our scaling campaigns every few days by around 20%, ideally, depending on how fast you want to move. And then lastly, set up a 3rd retargeting campaign that runs at a low budget. With this, you'll find a good spend budget that remains profitable, and you'll want to stay within that profitable threshold as you scale. Most of the time, it'll be less than 10% of your entire ad budget because ad platforms pretty much do auto retargeting for you within the CBO campaigns. But scrolling down here, some good KPIs we want to look for are going to be 4 to 6x ROAS for under 100K in revenue. If your ROAS is within this range, then we have lots of potential for scaling much, much higher with paid ads. Then the rest of these variables here completely just vary. They're going to vary on a multitude of different factors like your CPMs, your CTR, your CPC. All of these will be dependent on the product that you're selling. The audience, they're also going to be dependent on the audience you're selling to and the quality of the traffic you're advertising to. So don't put too much importance on that. But lastly, we want to make sure we're tracking data accurately so we know our numbers. If we can't read data properly, we will not be able to make proper decisions and therefore not grow at all. So within one Google Sheet, we want to map out all of our KPIs, like what our AOV is, our target AOV, our CAC, our CPA, our customer journey analytics, etc. We also want to make sure we're calculating our break-even ROAS. We want to track our top performing ads and analyze how and why they're performing good. And all that's going to come down to is just critical thinking, critical and creative thinking as we're more so analyzing the marketing angles rather than strictly just the data. And then lastly, we want to mark down every single change we make within an ad account, every budget adjustment, every ad deleted, every ad that we add in, etc. This way, we can map out what we're doing in organized fashion with a goal in mind, rather than just chaotically moving shit around within your ad accounts. Okay? And then lastly, we need third-party tracking for accurate data. I found True Profit to work the best for it. I used to use Hyros in the past, which I'm still a big fan of, but True Profit has more relevant features and it makes it easier to read data coming from my experience. But lastly, Moving down here, we have the CRO testing. And this should be done simultaneously within every phase of scaling. CRO testing should never stop, really. We always want to make sure we're juicing out as much profit as possible from our website. And there's two parts to this. There's offer testing and there's website optimization. For offer testing, there's four main components that we're going to want to test. There's the sales we have running, for example, percentage off discounts, limited quantity, welcome promotions, etc. We're going to want to continuously test our upselling. So just making sure we're running one-click upsells. And personally, I've found Zipify to work the best for all the CRO testing. But anyways, there's cross-selling. So just split testing, complementary products within the product page or cart pages. And then lastly, pricing testing. So adding in volume discounts, tiered pricing, bundle discounts, anchor pricing, etc. Now, in order to properly split test all of this stuff, we need to have a testing framework we abide by. What I do is I set a KPI improvement target of around 20 to 30% after pulling in at least 30 to 50 sales for each test. So basically just determining a winner if the test surpasses 20 to 30% and more revenue than the other. And we need good volume of 30 to 50 sales to prove a test successful or not. If a test succeeds, then implement the changes and go test something new. If the test fails, retry another offer of some sort and just get back to testing, okay? Never stop this cycle, seriously, because after a few months goes by, you'll really have an optimized website that pulls in a high AOV with a high conversion rate, which is critical to scaling. If you have higher margins, that means you can spend more to acquire a customer, more than your competitors, okay? Now, moving down to website optimization. This one's pretty straightforward. There's 8 main things we're going to want to continuously improve as we scale. Number 1, our website aesthetics. So just making it look more pretty to build more trust with the consumers and make the site easy to navigate and read. We have our page speed, which explains itself. I like to use Tiny Image app for this. Next is improve the copywriting as you start to understand your target audience better and better psychologically. Implement email and SMS marketing to retain lots of lost sales. Primarily focus on recovering abandoned carts and then use email marketing to your advantage when you're ready to launch a new product. So if you're selling multiple products or a subscription service, then this is going to really become more important. With a single product store, not so much. For single product stores, our main point of focus should be recovering abandoned carts with email marketing, in which I prefer to use Klaviyo as the best app. Next is social proof, which is just continuously increasing review counts, adding in real testimonials or UGC testimonials, stuff like that. I use the plugin judge.me, but all those review apps pretty much do the same exact thing, so it doesn't really matter. Next is heat mapping, which is going to help you analyze all of these improvements and get a better understanding of your customer journey and where and how you can improve. A good plugin I personally use is Lucky Orange. Next, ShopPay for a streamlined, easy checkout process. We want to remove as many variables as possible to the checkout process. And then lastly is product media, in which we want to just continuously improve our branded product photos or GIFs or videos, all that stuff. For good product photos, you can use any product packaging mockup software, which basically just creates fake packaging images for your product and makes the brand look highly professional instead of it looking like a cheap dropshipping store. But yeah, now let's move on to pillar number 3. We've got that all covered. And pillar number 3 is scaling. By this point in time, you should definitely be reaching around 100K in revenue or more. Maybe it's 200K or 400K, but whatever scale you're at, you're going to inevitably hit a massive ceiling that I see so many dropshippers hit. And that's the ceiling of going from 6 to 7 figures in revenue. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss right now in pillar number 3. And there's 2 routes people usually take by this time. Route number 1 is what I like to refer to as horizontal scaling, which basically just means that as soon as you reach a ceiling that's way too difficult to surpass, for example, 200K in total revenue, then you move on to a new brand and just keep repeating the process, just purely optimizing for profit rather than long-term brand growth. And running 5 of these mini ecom brands within a year may bring in the same amount of profit as scaling one centralized brand. It may, especially if you're able to exit these mini brands. What I used to do in the past is just find my profitability threshold and then run the ads on small scale while building new brands at the same time. This way, I was able to really build consistency and get the brands ready to exit. Now, on the other hand, what I like to call vertical scaling is the process of scaling up one brand and turning it into something really big. And that's what we'll go over now for the rest of this video. So many people in the ecom space think it's just a matter of pushing out more creatives with your ads in order to scale into 7 figures. But in reality, it's a lot of different variables we have to continuously optimize. Most of the actions you do within this stage will not bring back immediate ROI, but instead, it's going to further build your brand's image within the market. Very important there. All right, now let's look in retrospect for a second here. If you didn't get your branding correct, if we scroll back here, and you didn't sell a product with good margins, you'd more than likely not be able to keep scaling because you'd be wiped out from heavy competition by this point in time. There'd literally be thousands of other dropshippers doing similar numbers to you, just like a bunch of fish trying to swim upstream. This is why if you want to scale into very big numbers, either you sell something with an absolutely massive market size, or you sell something completely unsaturated with a smaller market so that you can scale quickly and dominate that smaller market. But anyways, let's jump into scaling. And there's 3 main pillars we have within this. Number 1 being optimizing our products, fulfillment, and inventory. Number 2 being reach expansion. And number 3 being shutting out competition. As a result, we have the potential to exit out of an ecom brand for potentially upwards to 1 million in profit or more. Seriously, potential is there. You just need to execute and fail 100 times before getting to this point. But let's jump into the first pillar. And the first thing we can do to continually scale is by enhancing our product, whether that be private labeling, if you haven't done that already, or adding in custom features with the manufacturers of the product to separate yourself from competition. Next, what we can do to further scale is actually buying inventory, which may sound scary to a lot of you drop shippers, but this is going to allow us to expand into 2 really good markets, Amazon and TikTok Shop. This is huge. Okay. Next is going to be fulfillment optimization, which is essentially just supplier negotiation to decrease your COGS and working with the suppliers to increase shipping times in hopes to reduce chargeback and refund requests, and also improving the quality of your product. Basically anything your agents or suppliers can do, you're gonna really wanna push them to do it, okay? Next is by launching new products. If we launch new products, we're able to basically restart the process and really turn it into a bigger established business with multiple different product lines. And in turn, we're gonna open up tons of new scale opportunity, okay? One product can only do so much unless the audience you're selling to is extremely wide. But the end result of all of these segments just means that we'll have better product fulfillment, and that's gonna equal further scale in simple terms, all right? Let's move down to pillar number 2, reach expansion. And all reach expansion means is just opening up into more broad markets and expanding the audiences we can advertise to. And for the first component, we got expand platform reach. So if you're only pushing out content and ads to one platform, then it's time to expand into other platforms and open up new audience pools. If you're only advertising in one country, it's time to broaden your ads elsewhere to any of the other big 4 countries, which are Canada, US, Australia, and the UK. And if you're only advertising to one audience segment or demographic, then it's time to start creatively thinking about other audiences that may resonate with your product. If you've never done influencer promos, test the waters with various influencers and see what sorts of returns you can get. And by the way, you can also use this as social proof on your website. Very important there. Viral Nation is a great platform for finding these influencers. Next is SEO, which is huge. Focus on optimizing and expanding your SEO on social media platforms alongside of Google to start driving in free traffic and build more trust with consumers. And on a quick note, you should have set up at least some sort of basic SEO from the beginning if you haven't already. All right. And then lastly, advanced media buying. So essentially just whatever you're doing with paid ads right now, it could probably be improved by 20 to 40% with a high level media buyer. All right. You only know what you know. Media buyers who do this for a living know what you do not know. So look into outsourcing your ads to someone else. I usually find great media buyers on Upwork.com. But yeah. And as a result of all of this, more reach equals further scale. And then lastly, pillar number 3, shut out competition. And the first thing we can do, considering you've private labeled everything and already branded the hell out of your business, is trademarking. And this is going to give you legal leverage to take out competitors who copy your stuff, which there's inevitably going to be hundreds of copycats and scammers who are going to replicate your brand and content illegally. That's just the name of the game. Next, DMCA protection system. You can pay for a software service that basically uses an automated monitoring system to scrape the web for your branded content, whether that's branded images, videos, names, etc. And it's going to automatically generate preset DMCA templates and takedown notices. Okay, DMCA Desk is a great software for this. And then lastly, as a final reminder, dominate SEO and organic. Realistically, with organic and SEO, you're not going to see direct feedback and immediate returns. You have to trust the process and understand that by optimizing these two aspects of your business throughout your entire journey, you will in turn see all around higher revenue and ultimately making it easier for you to scale. Because look at it like this. There's always going to be impulse buyers who are going to make up a big portion of your sales. Those are the people who purchase off of first visit from paid advertising, first time seeing your ad. But if you want to capitalize on the other giant portion of your audience, you'll have to understand that they're going to more than likely search you up on multiple different platforms. Maybe they'll search you up on Google, maybe TikTok, Instagram, etc. And if they can see that you pop up as the first result in their search bar, and they can also see that you have a very big following and tons of content to further nurture their interest in purchasing, you will start to see tons of sales coming in from all over the place that aren't directly attributed to your paid ads. Okay, paid ads is just simply there to drive in the traffic at the top of your funnel. Everything else in your middle of funnel to bottom of funnel is going to convert them and drive in revenue. All right, too many beginners only focus on like one or two variables within the top of their funnels, just completely neglecting the middle and bottom of the funnel. Now, maybe they only focus on Facebook ads, for example. Maybe they'll pump out tons of creatives and they'll scale a few 100,000 and then they're going to flatline and collapse because they didn't do the 100 other things that they were supposed to do. That's why I made this video, because I wanted to give highly valuable information away for free so that hopefully if you're in the ecom space, you don't have to make the same mistakes every new dropshipper makes when starting out. Now, to finalize, this is how you grow a branded dropshipping business through the means of interruption marketing. Outside of that, if you found this valuable, the link to get the full ecosystem for your records will be found within the link in the description of this video. I have a full 20-hour course going over this exact strategy alongside a giant community with tons of resources and blueprints, and the ecosystem included, that we use for dropshipping in 2024, specifically on TikTok. Now, if you want to get in contact with my team and partner together on a brand like what we went over in this video, go ahead and visit that same link in the description. But anyways, if you found any value from this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and thanks for watching, guys.